Lovely chatting up with you.
Good chatting up with you.
Lovely seeing you, Mr. Varghese, and thank you for being part of Chrome Talkies. So my chat primarily with you would limit on the strategy of your group, the Aditya Birla Group, on how do you see a transition that we are going through right now from and more skewed on the creative audiovisual side, moving from the current broadcast, which was cable and satellite to a great extent. I use the word was deliberately because it is not only cable and satellite. A major chunk is moving to digital. How does that see the Aditya Birla Group moving, shifting gears and moving spends and advertising?
I think we are moving with the times. I think digital, maybe a couple of years ago, was not a very prominent media for spends in any of our businesses. But over the last 3-4 years, there's been a very discernible shift in the advertising, emphasis on digital. And this is true not just for the, let's say, the consumer businesses. So our consumer businesses are primarily our apparel business, our insurance business, financial services,
Right.
where we have a very large presence in various aspects of financial services.
Right.
And partly into some of the, let's say, products, end products, like the retail of cement and aggregates, and a combination of various products. And we've just launched aluminum windows, so
Yeah.
we're going to get into that also in
Yeah.
a big way.
Yeah.
So the spends were mainly around, and of course, Ultratech is one of the largest advertisers in the country.
Ultratech, that's right.
Yeah. So there has been a transition. There's been a movement, a discernible movement between mainstream advertising versus digital.
Sorry to cut you in between. Two things in that. Is there any correlation with the product category, or is that generic one? And two, if you could broadly share a percentage of what is moved from, in terms of a percentage, from traditional to digital for the Aditya Birla Group.
I won't be able to give you numbers for the Aditya Birla Group because I'm not really aware of them. Because each business is doing
For the businesses that you
for
run.
the businesses that I manage, I think digital would have been a very small fraction of our spends. In the, let's say, if you're comparing 3 years ago, it was probably not even 4-5%, whereas now it has moved to at least around 20% of our.
That's pretty steep in 3 years.
Yeah, in 3-4 years. So that's what, and I guess
in 3 years, I think another you look at 40%. Fair to assume that 40-50%.
We think that digital advertising is going to be increasing year on year,
and I think it will be exponential. The
it
growth
will be exponential. Because
and this is not limited to advertising only on OTT platforms. This could also mean skews on social media. A lot of that as well, right?
In fact, right now it is more skewed to the social media. It's not so skewed to the OTT platform because barring linen club products, which are end user, which are focused on end users. And our category was mainly men's. It's just recently we launched women's wear, linen club.
Right.
So as the share of our apparel keeps increasing, there will be a disproportionate increase in our spends in digital marketing.
Yeah. One more thing is, since you are obviously looking at multiple markets within India and outside, your production is in different parts. Digital is again more effective because you pretty much reach a wider audience, whereas in conventional you will have to have tactical buying for different countries, right? You won't have a common footprint.
We have more or less a B2B kind of business for our business overseas. So a lot of the marketing is really trade marketing, more centered around, let's say, print.
Right.
More about print, less about TV because there isn't, it doesn't make any sense. We're operating in 7 countries across the globe. It doesn't really make any sense for us to have any campaigns there. So the focus is more on trade marketing. The focus is more on forming partner acquisition forums so that we can bring the value chain together.
Yeah.
And obviously the latest emphasis is on social media marketing, which is going the digital way.
Yeah, and I think social media is now
Because you're right, it has more reach, basically.
it has more reach, and I think one bigger thing with social media marketing is it's interactive. So as a target consumer, I tend to feel more involved in the communication being a two-way as against the conventional one-on-one, one-way communication advertising.
I think the whole aspect of personalization and customization has become a way of life.
I think in the next few years, the way the markets are trending, in fact, to a great extent, communication would be segmented to individuals,
Yes, that's
right?
what they said.
So, exactly.
Customization and personalization are becoming
Personalization
global.
to a global trend, and to an extent, if you've got like 5 creatives or 10 creatives of a product and 10 ways to communicate some product benefit, those 10 benefits could be segmented that each person who's targeted for it gets a creative that's best suited to him or her,
to that particular target segment.
to that particular
And
segment.
that's the way advertising is going in terms of digital marketing.
What do you see, Mr. Varghese, the role of tech in the next 5 years in this entire business outside of production in terms of communication?
I think it's been a game changer, really. And it's not just in communication. It's across.
Everywhere. Chat GTP, GPT,
Very, very interesting development.
interesting and worrying both, or interesting?
I would say interesting because I personally don't believe these never replace human
They can't.
intellect and ingenuity. I doubt very much. But you generally will get, for any questions that you ask, you will get a very, very intelligent response. So that's pretty amazing, and that is the power of AI, basically.
That's right.
Because it has access to so much data.
Yeah.
That you're able to
I completely agree.
put it all together, which normal people can't put it together. So it gives you great insights, and but it still cannot replace human ingenuity, human innovation,
human emotions.
Most importantly.
And I think one thing that would always differentiate humans with AI is the fact that humans have infinite reactions without being trained for so. We come with a basic instinct when we are born, something that probably AI might lack to an extent. So AI is good as long as it's used to support a human, but I don't think that replaces it.
Yeah, but there are very interesting. I talk a lot on this subject as a leadership coach. There are 3 things I believe make for great leaders. And I'm going away from your track of digital or technology.
That's fine.
So I believe the first aspect is the ability to listen. So say active listening, right? The second ability is of being mindful. Being mindful about, and mindfulness is a very vast subject. I mean, it covers virtually every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And third is, which is the most difficult for humans to do, is suspending judgment.
Suspending judgment, right?
So these 3 things brought together makes for great leaders, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's so brilliantly put.
And when you look at, technology, a chatbot or a robot, there are some advantages they have because they do suspend judgment.
They do.
They do listen very actively because they are listening, analyzing data patterns. So there are some advantages because it gives you a very unbiased view of the subject. But good leaders combine these qualities.
I think it's a very well put statement, and we should all follow that. So brilliantly put. When we hire, I think we look at 2 things in getting a right candidate: is to see if he's got the right attitude and the right capability.
Actually, that is also what is not done. Not many recruiters actually recruit for attitude. They recruit only for your knowledge.
Capability or knowledge. But I think what is most important is the attitude thing, because
I completely agree.
It is all got to do with the right attitude.
If you recruit for attitude, you will get the kind of people who you want to build the organization.
And in my own experience, I've seen a lot of people we've got with the right attitude who haven't had the capability but have developed it over time.
Develop it because everything is learnable.
Yeah, and I think one more thing that goes with both, the third factor it's playing on the mind is hunger. It's so important to be hungry. If
That
you're
is
not hungry,
another aspect, you see, which also people do not invest in much.
yeah,
So I would say when you recruit somebody,
huh,
you have to look at most importantly attitude,
yeah,
but then you got to look at who comes in with the fire in the belly. That's
yeah,
really what you're saying,
yeah,
and that is very important because those are the guys who create world class organizations.
right.
Who are hungry for success, who are hungry to do something,
I think
hungry to make a change.
it's so important to be hungry, and smoke kills appetite. I hope you know that. It was lovely chatting up with you.
Good chatting up with you.
Lovely chatting up, Mr. Thank you. Krisha,
Thank you.
good. Thank you so much.